Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Welcome back, Maverick family, to the Maverick News channel. It is time to at least try to get real. Things are escalating. They are becoming very serious, much more serious than the majority of people realize. The political divide in Canada and the United States is deepening. You want to see what's going on right now? And I have a feature interview tonight with Irina from Ukraine, but we're going to save that for a little while. I'm going to bring her on a little later. We have other news out of Ukraine to talk about tonight as well. But look at what is going on right now in New York. Let me get this set for you. I wasn't even planning on to talk about this tonight, but look at what is happening in New York tonight. Here we go. This is live.
That has plagued our nation for decades. They invoked 9/11, recycled anti-Muslim tropes, and warned that a Muslim in a position of power.
This is a rally
threat to our security
for Zohran
and our
Mamdani.
democracy. This isn't new, but
I'm not alarmed by the rally
very dangerous.
Don't get me wrong.
You have to understand that Islamophobia is not just hate; it's a strategy.
But this is a huge crowd.
Is a deliberate attempt to marginalize and dehumanize. It is used to cast Muslims as perpetual outsiders.
Okay, we're going to come back to this. Bernie Sanders. Is Bernie Sanders going to speak here? Anyway, Zohran Mamdani will no doubt speak. Sanders might be there. I'm not sure. Anyway, huge crowd. And, I think AOC and Bernie are both there tonight. This is the final stretch for the mayoral race in New York City. This is the opposite side of the political spectrum to Trump. You've seen the No Kings rallies, massive crowds. MAGA side saying, "Oh, it's all fake. It's AI. It's not true. They're using fake video. All of it. No, it was real." Massive crowds. On the MAGA side, you're getting, massive support as well, but it's divided, and it is passionate. It is manic at times, very emotional. It's a culture war coming to a head, and it's escalating. In Canada, we've seen just this weekend a massive separatist rally in Alberta. 10,000, some people are saying people there. This is also a signal of a great divide in the country. We see this trade war. The other reason what I am concerned about is, well, not just the division, but also the deception. The lies. People are being sold a bill of goods in many respects. Today, it became very apparent to me that we have a really serious problem. The federal government is trying to respond, I think, to this issue with this Bill C-8, this online censorship bill, internet, whatever, however you want to call it. It's a cybersecurity bill. I'm reading it. I have not finished reading it. I've only just started. It's very long. It's like a small book. So it's going to take me some time to go through this. We're going to have a broader discussion about that. But tonight I'm also seeing Maxime Bernier in an email message, like a mass email, commenting on it, expressing concerns about censorship. Fair enough, But at the same time, I'm also seeing foreign interference in our government at unprecedented levels, which is really what that bill is supposed to be addressing. So I understand the concern on the other side. What I'm also really concerned about is the lying, because I've seen political posts tonight with regard to Ronald Reagan again, where the MAGA side is just clearly lying. I'm seeing stuff out of that ostrich farm again tonight. That ostrich farm story, very little to do with the damn ostriches. And and I saw another post where someone echoed those words, saying this really doesn't about the ostriches. It's about money and but taking everything out of context to lead you down this other path where it was not accurate at all. The only reason I know that the only reason I know it wasn't accurate is because I'm so deeply involved, I've done so much research into it that I know that they're just spinning the information 180 degrees to mislead people. It is disturbing. Absolutely disturbing. This is what's going on tonight. I have also been watching videos and doing my research into social media, the impact of social media on political campaigns, free speech, how the algorithms are in some cases, and in some cases have been running out of control and doing crazy things with unintended consequences that have even led to the deaths of people and have had negative impacts on wars. I think we need to be very concerned about what is going on because of the level of deception, misinformation, misdirection. I hate to use these words like misinformation, but there is that. We have a problem because we are entering a new era where we're making decisions on what we want as a society, politically, what kind of a country we want. And we're doing it with false information, distortions, deception, the truth. I don't know if anybody has actual truth. So how are we going to get to a good place? This is about people, politicians, really rich people, oligarchs, just trying to grab power in different ways, at different levels, political parties facing off against each other. I don't know if any of them on any side are actually telling the truth. They're just spinning up stories and taking opposite positions in order to, stake political ground in an argument and lying in many. That's the whole thing with this Trump administration. So much of what they are doing is just based on outright lies. The tariff war, case in point. Even these deals that Trump says he's making around the world, in many cases, they aren't even real deals. He's over at the ASEAN summit, and we have all that to talk about tonight as well, as Carney is over there as well. But Trump is over there. Oh, I made another deal. I made another deal. I'm not saying he's made any deals. I'm waiting until I can see what the details on these deals are, because he's made other deals that aren't really deals. They're sort of frameworks for deals that he calls deals. This is the thing with him. And, jobs numbers come out. They're not favorable. It shows higher unemployment. He doesn't like that. So he just fires the person who prepared the report. He literally shoots the messenger. I don't like what you said. You're supposed to lie. He doesn't say it that way, but that's really what it is. We got a big problem. In that way, we're absolutely under attack. Now, I don't know how deep we'll get into this tonight. I'm just warning you because you need to be warned. I didn't realize the depth of this, but it's literally driving people nuts. And I'm pretty sure that I've been, victimized by this too, especially during the pandemic. It has. I know now, looking back, that I absolutely was influenced by misdirection, lies, 100%. I was influenced by this systemic attack on our perception at the beginning of the Ukraine war, for sure. I've been, and I'm questioning everything all the time now. How much of what I think is actually true? What is distortion? What is reality? I'm constantly questioning, and I'm trying to get closer to the truth every night. And that's what we're going to continue to do here together tonight as we kind of lay some of this stuff out. I'm just gonna go through tonight's top news stories, but it is manic out there. It's manic in here, in the internet. This is where it's all happening. Out there, you interact with people. There's absolutely manic behavior and mass formation psychosis going on all sides. But in here, this is where the war is being fought, and this is where people's brains are being turned inside out. We'll get into the top stories of the day today when we come back on the other side. And hopefully, just as we just work through the news and the events of the day, and in a way that you're not going to find on mainstream media, hopefully we just get a little bit closer to the truth tonight, or at least become more aware that our brains are under attack. There is a war on for our minds.
Brightleaf Innovations is excited to offer our newest investment opportunity, the Turn Easy Bed Storage Solution.
Turns with a touch, spins all the way around. Every little thing you need is easy to be found. No more clutter, no more mess on the floor. Just spin it, reach it, you don't search anymore. Turn Easy Bed, spin your world around. Storage made simple, the best you found. Shelves your way, keep the mess away. Charge it, store it, night or day. Custom shelves for your books or your tech. Cozy space for your treasures to protect. Built-in power when you need to recharge. Smart design that makes your bedroom feel large. Turn Easy Bed, spin your world around. Storage made simple, the best you found. Shelves your way, keep the mess away. Charge it, store it, night or day.
Designed and developed by Brightleaf Innovations, proudly Canadian and patent pending in North America. Turn Easy Bed transforms how you live.
To learn more about this innovative new product idea and exciting investment opportunity, call 519-784-0222 or visit brightleafinnovations.com.
Okay, still queuing stuff up. I'll be right back.
Maverick News isn't just a news outlet, it's a community of truth seekers. Your donation at freedomreporters.com fuels our mission to report the stories that mainstream media won't touch. Thank you, Maverick family.
So they're off to Asia. They're over there now. Carney's there. Trump's there. All these world leaders are there. They're making deals. It's the Asian Economic Summit. And here on the Sunday political talk show circuit over at Meet the Press, we see Scott Bessent telling NBC that President Trump basically has a deal with the Chinese. Let's listen in for a moment.
And joining me now is Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, traveling with President Trump in Malaysia. Secretary Bessent, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Kristen, good to be with you.
Well, it is wonderful to have you. You are there meeting with your Chinese counterparts ahead of President Trump's planned meeting with President Xi of China. Mr. Secretary, do you believe that China is ready to make a trade deal?
Kristen, I can tell you they are, because we just finished 2 days of negotiations, and we've created a framework for the two leaders to discuss on Thursday in Korea.
So that's optimism. President Trump had threatened to impose an additional 100% tariffs on China on November 1st if Beijing goes forward with a plan to put restrictions on rare earth minerals, as you know. If China refuses to pull back those restrictions, Mr. Secretary, can you confirm that President Trump will, in fact, impose those 100% tariffs against China?
Well, Kristen, I think that's old news. President Trump gave me a great deal of negotiating leverage with the threat of the 100% tariffs on November 1st, and I believe we've reached a very substantial framework that will avoid that and allow us to discuss many other things with the Chinese. I think we will be able to discuss them helping us get this terrible fentanyl crisis under control. I think we are going to be able to discuss substantial soybean and ag purchases for our American farmers. I think we are going to be able to discuss more balanced trade. And, and I'm not going to get ahead of the two leaders, but I think that they will also be discussing President Trump's global peace plan that he's been so successful at, both here in Asia, the Middle East, and now he's looking to Ukraine, Russia.
Well, we'll get into the Ukraine-Russia stuff too. And I don't know really how successful the world peace thing has been or is, because last I checked, Israel was still dropping some bombs. So it's all perception, man. It's like perception management. If he says there's peace, even if they're still fighting. Twisted, bizarre. Anyway, Carney also over at the ASEAN Summit. Let me just check over here because I want to go live when we get this Zohran Mamdani up on the stage. Might be a little while yet. Before we get him up there, I want to bring it to you live. Okay. I'm just checking. Okay, no, not yet. There's still introductory speakers in place there. So, Carney, let's go over to Carney. I'll show you first of all what Global is saying here. They're quoting Carney as saying, that the federal government in Canada, has the sole responsibility for U.S. talks, being trade talks. And of course, this comes after Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, runs that ad, which he has the right to do, where he uses the words of Ronald Reagan to highlight the fact that Ronald Reagan was basically a free trader, used tariffs only in extreme circumstances in very targeted ways in order to achieve very specific results. Sometimes not even economic objectives were targeted using tariffs at the time. But in any event, the ad was accurate. They did use Reagan's actual words. And yet I still see streamers tonight echoing Donald Trump's lie that Ronald Reagan loved tariffs. We went to the Reagan library, to the archives. We found the video. We've run it here several times. I have that video over on our TikTok. I ran it. It had to be 8 months ago. I don't even know why. I just put it up over on, and I commented on it about 8 months ago. Now here it is, full circle, we're talking about it again. But Trump lied. He's lying. It touched a nerve. And now he has the whole pro-MAGA infosphere backing him up, amplifying the lie. He's rewriting history and taking Reagan out of context. He's the one distorting it all. He's the one who's spreading fake information. And a lot of people believe him because they just don't know any better. A lot of people. You tell a lie often enough and people will begin to believe it. When I'm seeing that kind of thing going on, I really then question everything. And this is just the latest from Trump. Like I say, I'm sure that I was heavily influenced by what was going on in social media before, to the point where I was blinded to the level of the deception that had been going on. But I'm way more red-pilled now on isn't Donald Trump a distortionist? Yes, and that's being kind. Now, when Carney says that it's the federal government's sole responsibility to negotiate with the United States, yeah, it is. Yeah, sorry, provincial sovereigntists, separatists, it's true. Now, you have some latitude and some say in how things may go, but at the top, but when it comes down to sitting at the table with the president and his negotiating team, that is the federal government's responsibility. So Carney is absolutely right. That is his responsibility. And he gets input from you, and you can go down there. You can even meet with the president if you want. But at the end of the day, a Canadian agreement is a Canadian trade agreement, not just a provincial agreement. It's all about Canadian sovereignty. You know, I think it's time, maybe, I'm just saying, maybe it's just time for a reality check for some of these people who suggest otherwise. Here's Carney today addressing these challenges facing Canada at the ASEAN Summit, as he takes part in one of the seminars. Here's what he had to say about it today.
That would work in ASEAN, given there's not the element of there's no element nor prospect of a political union. So it has to be that type of approach.
But in Canada, though, those barriers between provinces that still exist, I mean, I remember you saying a few years ago that a crisis permits government to move fast and in a coordinated way. Is this a crisis in Canada? Is it going to help you reduce the barriers between provinces?
Yes, it's a crisis because it's a fundamental change in many of the operating, I was going to say assumptions, but the operating rules of the system. I mean, the reliance on the open global trading system, a reliance and an expectation of further integration, particularly in North America. I mean, that's not going to happen. That doesn't mean there isn't still going to be a fair bit of free trade in North America and cross-investment, but this sort of relentless process of greater integration has reversed. That's a big change. And when you have a big change like that and you had your economy oriented towards that, which ours was, some of your strengths become vulnerabilities, and you have to do big things. And so one of the lessons, we've talked about this, many in the room have lived it. I've certainly, by luck, I would like to say, not because of cause. I didn't cause the crises I've been in. But my experience of being in them is, in a crisis, you have to be bold. You have to act big. Uncertainty weighs down activity, and unless you're leading from the center, whether you're a central bank with respect to supporting financial institutions or monetary policy, or you're a government in terms of charting a new course, you need to be bold. And that's why we're looking for scale in terms of diversification of our exports. That's why our budget, which is coming out in 2 weeks' time, is going to have what we call generational investment in Canada on an order of magnitude that really changes the scale of the economy, the ambition of the economy. Of course, it will also, just by its very fact, provide GDP and growth and jobs for Canadians. But as important as that is, more important is going to be a reorientation of the country, and very much an outward-looking orientation that I think is very complementary to ASEAN.
Okay, so those are complex words, but I think they're true. I think he will deliver on that in the budget, whether the Conservatives support it or take a political opportunity to trigger another election as they try to grab power at a time when I don't think Canadians are really have the appetite for an election. It might happen. And they might be motivated by more than just a quest for power themselves. There might be external forces. And then I pivot back and I think of what I saw earlier today in these clips from this rally out in Alberta where they had a large crowd of separatists. And when I look at where the influence for all of that is coming from, it goes straight back to the White House. That's not organic, and it's funded. That's foreign influence. Then I think of Bill C-8. Then I think of the people trying to undermine that. And are the concerns about censorship and so on real? Yeah, I share those concerns. I don't like censorship either. At the same time, I don't like foreign influence in our politics, especially when it comes from our greatest ally, who is an ally that is threatening our sovereignty, a president who is insulting us every day by saying that we should become the 51st state, not respecting our sovereignty. Well, we have some premiers saying that they need more sovereignty. They need to be independent. And that's a lie, because they'll just end up being swallowed up. Or they'll end up freeloading off the rest of Canada for things like defense. Well, they don't provide their own defense. It's nonsensical, but appealing when people are promised a tax break or the gasoline is going to be 60 cents a liter. Good luck. Beware politicians as they speak with forked tongues. Especially those who push dollar bills into their back pockets or cryptocurrency where it can't be traced. Yeah, we got a problem. You see, because the bigger problem, it's not just censorship. It's AI. It's the real threat to your job, frankly, is not the immigrants. It's AI. It's all the AI bots or agents that are going to be out there that are emerging and developing right now, and the development of artificial general intelligence. That's what's going to take your damn job. And when that happens, do you know who they're going to scapegoat? They're going to scapegoat the immigrants. They're doing it right now. So that as you lose your job, because they're going for more efficiencies, all these factories that Trump is relocating to the US, there will not be nearly as many jobs in those highly automated, almost completely automated factories. They will generate wealth. They will generate tax revenue for the federal government. They will generate GDP, but they won't generate the level of jobs that those auto plants traditionally generated. And when the people don't get the jobs they were promised, they'll keep on blaming the immigrants because they have to have a scapegoat. Trump's using human beings as scapegoats, and he's lying about the tariffs and the auto pact, or not the auto pact, but the USMCA and the auto sector as it's integrated into the USMCA agreement as it sits right now, as he tries to renegotiate that trade deal that he negotiated the first time around, saying it was the best trade deal ever, now says it was the worst trade deal ever, so he has to renegotiate it because he's full of crap. And then he accuses Canada of being an unfair trading partner, and we're very difficult to get along with. It's a lie. I saw another, I'm not going to use the name, but pretty clear to me that this online influencer has been, may still be, a paid, MAGA conservative influencer saying Canada should just learn to compete. And suggesting that's why the auto industry is losing, because Canada can't compete. We do compete. We have been competing. We have not been relying on tariffs for the auto industry. Just the opposite. This is the thing people are not understanding at all. It's Trump who is the protectionist. It's Trump who is imposing the tariffs on other countries. They're the best US trading partners, especially Canada, because he just wants to take that productivity, not even the jobs, the productivity, and bring that back to the state in more automated US auto plants. And there will be some jobs, to be sure. That's why the UAW, or in the States, is so excited about it, of course. But it's not Canada. You need to understand that the USMCA established a fundamentally tariff-free trading relationship back in 2018 for qualifying automotive goods between the US and Canada. It built directly on NAFTA's, the North American Free Trade Agreement's already low tariff auto provisions. And that was all designed to foster integrated North American supply chains with zero duties on vehicles and parts that met and continue to meet the agreement's rules of origin, ROO. That's what they referred to it as. It's like they had 75% regional value content, RVC, for vehicles, 40 to 45% labor value content from high wage, $16 an hour facilities. There were all these other kind of things built into it, but it was all designed to create basically a tariff-free trading arrangement or relationship between the three countries. There's been no tariffs in the auto industry to speak of, especially since the USMCA. Canada has not been surviving because of tariffs. Tariffs are applied to some of the finished products because some of the parts that come in and go into the finished good, the finished vehicle coming off the assembly line, come from other countries like China or Japan or Thailand, Vietnam, another country that is an emerging industrial power, and they have entered the auto industry as well. Canada doesn't impose quotas or even quotas or tariffs to ensure Canadian content the way that we used to under the old Auto Pact in vehicles that are sold domestically in a way that would unfairly burden U.S. exports. USMCA compliant U.S. vehicles enter Canada duty-free, just as Canadian vehicles do in the US. People have it screwed up in their heads. They think that Canada is imposing tariffs or something on the US in the auto. It's not even true. So all of this trade tariff saber rattling, the trade war with Canada, it's not even, I'm certain it isn't even really just about trade. It is about politics. And it's because two things can be true at the same time. The United States is a powerful economic force, the most powerful economic force in the world, seen as the biggest economy in the world, maybe number two now compared to China. But the other truth is it's also the weakest, the most vulnerable, because they have, I think it's now, I've always been saying $37 trillion in debt. And that's just bonded debt. That's not even unfunded liabilities. 38 trillion now. $38 trillion in debt. Why do you think they've got their sights set on Alberta, all you separatists? You think you're going to get rich? That the wealthy U.S. oligarchs that come up there and invest in your your oil industry, that they're going to share the wealth with you, and you're all going to be automatically rich? I don't think universal health care is top of mind for Donald Trump and his rich friends. or any of the social safety nets that, you've become very used to here in Kanakistan. And I see some of these people running out to the ostrich farm to shore up support for the U.S.-backed political campaign out there to disrupt everything. And I see a lot of I know some of these people personally, and I know that they get a Canadian government check every month, essentially free money, while they complain that they don't get enough support. Good luck when you become the 51st state. Whiners. Get a job. Frig. I don't get a government check every month. Hypocrites. Just saying. Love you just the same, but wake up. Trump's the best. Trump's the best. F. Kearney. F. Trudeau. Oh, for crying out loud. Trudeau's a dictator. He'll never leave power. There's never going to be another election. How often did I hear that? Oh, my God. Yeah, is that true? No, it didn't turn out to be true. Not true at all. In fact, I can show you. Want to know what Justin Trudeau's doing now? He's hanging out. He's got himself a new main squeeze. Katie. Happy birthday to you. It's official now, as of yesterday. It's not out public. Oh, yeah, there's his new woman. Sophie Gregoire Trudeau. Eat your heart out. Justin has got himself a new woman.
Katie, happy birthday! Happy birthday! Joyeux anniversaire, Katie!
Holly weird. That's okay. Congratulations, Justin. I'm glad you're happy. What's he got to be sad about? He's free of you. Free of me. Free of his responsibility. Free of walking into, like, I didn't see anybody standing around there with F. Trudeau flags going, F. Trudeau. No, he's going out with Katy Perry on the town. That's your dictator who was never going to leave power. Oh, man. Yeah, he left. He stepped aside. Now you've got Kearney. And God help us. I mean, he's a smart guy. He's more conservative than Poilievre. Oh, Rick, you're a liberal. Shut the F up. I want results. I want somebody to deliver for the people, whoever that is, whether it's Poilievre, Maxime Bernier, or Carney. I don't really freaking care. Just take care of people, take care of the jobs, take care of the economy, and put Trump in his place, for Christ's sake. Doug Ford, he's causing all the problems. No, man. No, one guy and his team, they're causing the frickin' problems. Wake up and shut up if you can't say something productive. I'm kind of to that point. Oh, free speech. Yeah, you've had lots of free speech. Now say something worthwhile and quit lying, because you're not helping. We got to get those guys out of there no matter what. Really? Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't think so, because trading one set of lies for another set of lies is just getting you more lies and get you more trouble. That's not a solution to anything. And a lot of people are scared. I mean, really, a lot of people are scared. Justifiably so, because a lot of what's going on is horrific. And it's an absolute assault on our freedoms every single frickin' day. This is also why it's like, holy crap, I can't believe that some of this stuff is being said. I can't believe people are supporting blindly what Trump is doing. You're worried about Bill C-8 and the Canadian government taking steps to, fortify the security for online banking. you're worried about that same bill and the censorship that it might impose. I haven't read it, so I don't know exactly what the circumstances would be for them to justifiably use the thing. Are we running on all channels? Yes, we are. Good. Okay, I'm just checking. So I'm going to read it. I'm seeing, sort of a lot of the people are anti-liberal, anti-government, whatever, coming out heavily criticizing it and ramping up the fear again, the fear, uncertainty, and doubt. But when I'm looking around, you know what I see as the greater threat? I see artificial intelligence, the way that's going to be used by these rich oligarchs who are controlling everything, especially on the US side. I see them throwing a crumb, maybe to Kevin O'Leary and some people around him, as they look to build an AI research facility of some kind in Alberta. So that's Trump again and his friends looking to invest in that. They need a lot of energy for that. They've been talking about that. That's a real thing. Within weeks, you're going to see one of the biggest free handouts in human history in a very inhumane or very artificial way, as Trump lets some of his rich friends purchase for pennies on the dollar TikTok, a company that's probably worth about $80 billion. They'll buy it for millions, not billions. You watch. Free handout, payback for them supporting Trump to put him in the White House. It's absolutely corrupt. I don't think we've seen anything quite like this since the early days when they were building the railroads across Canada and the U.S., mostly in the U.S. Go back, look at your history on that. And when I say that the real threat is coming from the White House, even on this cybersecurity stuff, you should maybe be focused a little, like we should certainly be concerned and make sure that whatever is in Bill C-8 doesn't violate our rights to an excessive level. At the same time, we do need to protect ourselves against China, Russia, and the United States and other countries in a very real way. And the government doesn't talk about the threat from the United States because it's just politically too sensitive. And it might trigger an actual invasion at this point. So just back the hell off of that one. But be aware. I'll tell you about it. I will. I'll speak up because I'm not the prime minister. I'm not the premier. But I see what's really going on. And I also see what's really going on because I see this. You're worried about Bill C-8? Maybe you better be careful, worried about them using facial recognition after they take your picture when you cross the border into the US. Oh, 15-minute cities. How about a freaking international tracking system so that you can't make a move? They're going to know everything you do, everywhere you go. This is Chinese-style surveillance for sure, communist-style surveillance. Who's doing it to you? Is that Mark Carney? No. Is that the Canadian government? No. Is that China? No. That is the US of A, my friends. US to photograph Canadian travelers when they enter and exit at all land borders and airports. They're going to take your photo. They're going to put that into a database. They're going to use facial recognition, and everywhere you go, they're going to monitor this. And you know how they're going to do it? Through the internet. And then you're worried about Bill C-8 monitoring, using that to censor you in some way. You know what? Maybe the Canadian government is actually trying to look out for you. I don't know. I haven't read the bill in full yet. But the main thrust of that bill, I know, is to counterbalance foreign influence and foreign use of the internet, so that they can't influence our elections, so that they can't inject false information in some way, in a way that might destabilize or overthrow our government. And maybe, just maybe, it's because some people have the foresight to be concerned about facial recognition and tracking of every Canadian citizen, even within Canada, if they're using the internet to tap into security cameras and monitor where you go, because it's a foreign government and we can't really do anything to circumvent or reprimand or hold to account foreign governments when they're doing those things to us using cyber surveillance, hacking into our systems. We were worried about Huawei and China coming here and getting involved in our systems, cell phones from Huawei, cell phone systems, cell phone towers. No, can't let China get in here and do that. And yet everybody is like, yeah, let's bring in the Americans to do it. And I used to be very much in favor of that. I was talking about it strictly from an economic point of view and the efficiencies and the jobs that could help create by creating more competition within the Canadian market. But now when I'm seeing that at the border and and you're going to take your picture, which they can do anyway, but now they're going to use it to track you. If they're providing infrastructure up here, U.S. companies, they control it. They can control all that. And there's not a whole lot the Canadian government could actually ever do to regulate it. That's why Trump went after the social media tariffs and the taxes. He complained about that, remember? Because he wants those social media companies and digital infiltration within Canada to be happening in a really serious way up here. Because they are interfering in foreign elections right now in other countries around the world. And they're even influencing what's going on over in Europe. And they're doing it through the internet. And the United States wants to dominate in AI. They want to dominate on the information superhighway. They want to dominate social media. That's why it's like, China, you can keep TikTok, but you got to sell it to us. So we get to control it. So you get to keep TikTok, but it's going to be American, owned by Americans, for Americans, so we can dominate the world. Wake up. New World Order, Rick WEF. You've all Noah Harari. I'm going to run clips of him in the nights ahead because everybody thinks that he's evil because he wants to integrate everybody and make everybody transhuman, and he wants to bring AI, and he's the evil guy. Do you ever read him? You ever actually watch his videos in full, not taken out of context the way that they are from the fear mongers who play his stuff in little short snippets on the internet? He's actually telling you just the opposite. He's telling you that the AI future is something we really need to be concerned about. We really need to regulate it. He's smart enough to know that there's nothing we can do really to stop it because the rich oligarchs who control these companies, they're pushing ahead with it. And every company, every country is basically in an information arms race right now, an AI arms race. And they can't stop because if they stop, they're worried the other guy will keep on working at the technology and they're going to dominate. And it's here now. And he's been trying to warn us about it. And you know who's trying to not make you not listen to that guy? People like Donald Trump, the MAGA group. Don't listen to him. He's evil. And they play you clips. You hate the guy, so you don't listen to what he has to say. You don't really get his message. I've seen clips of him edited, taken completely twisted around and out of context, while Trump sits there and says that Ronald Reagan loved tariffs. This is the mind F. New World Order? Oh, yeah. Trump's it. With Putin, with Xi. He says he wants to go to war. He doesn't want to go to war with China. He wants to make a deal with China. He's concerned. A story today on RT. Trump is ramping things up to put pressure on Venezuela to minimize or to address growing influence of Russia and China in Venezuela was the story. True, because they're carving the world up into spheres of influence. So Russia, China, they're not supposed to be in Venezuela. So he's making it clear, we're not going to tolerate that. But Vladimir Putin is like, well, okay, but we get Ukraine. And Trump is like, yeah, you know what? Hands off, but do what you want over there. See, the deal is they don't control each other. He can sell arms to Ukraine. Putin doesn't care. He doesn't care about the people. He's just killing people to get what he wants anyway, probably depopulating people in that way, if you want to look at it like that. But he gets that if he can take it. But it's up to him. If you have a country that's powerful enough, you get to take what you can take. You get whatever you can take. And that's what Trump is doing too. He wants to take, because the U.S. is $38 trillion in debt. They're in trouble. The U.S. dollar, the world reserve currency, it's vulnerable. It's sinking. He knows it. He needs a way to prop it up. He needs more resources. He needs the critical minerals. He needs not just the oil in Canada. Albertans, you want to know what he really wants? The oil and the gold. The gold. China's basically putting itself back on the gold standard. They've been buying up gold to shore up their currency. The United States doesn't have gold anymore. Canada doesn't have gold anymore. We've been on a fiat currency propped up by purchases of gold through the Middle East. That's why the U.S. is still involved in the Middle East. They're propping up the currency with their military and the arrangement where the U.S. provides protection for countries like Qatar, Saudi Arabia with the military, Israel, but in exchange, those countries buy oil using U.S. dollars. So they didn't need gold to prop up the dollar anymore, but they're going to need it heading into the future because the oil is not going to last, because China's buying gold. They're basically going back to the gold standard, whether the rest of the world likes it or not. And it's China that's the emerging power, much less so than Russia. Trump wants the oil. He wants the gold. He wants the uranium. He wants all the critical minerals up here too. He wants Canada to pay off the U.S. debt. That's why he's going so hard against Canada. That's why he's lying about Ronald Reagan. Well, he's rewriting history and he's involved. They're using a culture war to get what they want, but they really don't give a damn about the culture war. If they did, they wouldn't have somebody like Donald Trump, who owned beauty pageants, fronting the traditional values, family-oriented cultural war. He wouldn't be the guy. But they've turned him into some sort of a deity. Oh my God, here's AOC, I think getting ready to introduce Mamdani. We'll just dip into it for just a moment. And this again highlights the great deep divide politically in the country. Way over here with Trump on this side, way over here with tax the rich. Messaging from Alexander Ocasio-Cortez.
That the very forces that Zohran is up against in this race mirrors what we are up against nationally. Both an authoritarian, criminal presidency fueled by corruption and bigotry, and an ascendant right-wing extremist movement.
And Trump says they're all terrorists.
And an insufficient, eroded, bygone political establishment, this time in the form of Andrew Cuomo, whose pursuit of power has blinded them from what that power is supposed to be used for in the first place, which is to aid and put the working people of America and New York City first. And Queens, both of these challenges are fueled and funded by the same billionaire class whose apparent greatest fear is an equitable, affordable, and prosperous nation and city for all, not just the very few. But we have been here before as a city and a country, and we have won before, and we will win again on November 4th. Because Queens, it has always been in our nation's darkest chapters that our brightest lights emerge. And we, each and every one of us, whether we like it or not, are living history today. From our nation's beginning, American democracy has always reflected the struggle between humanity's highest and lowest natures, between subjects and citizens, the Confederacy and the Union, freedom and bondage, labor and capital rights and regimes. And it is no different today. The struggle of our time today is the single most unjust concentration of wealth in the hands of the very few, unseen in our nation's history and the world's history.
And she has a point, because as she's speaking, and we are all being emotionally manipulated so that we go out into the streets and involve ourselves in some sort of a culture war at each other's throats, Jews against Muslims, Christians against, I don't know, everybody else. Like, I don't know. Deport the people from India. And, risk getting ourselves into a civil war bloodbath. Jeff Bezos blasts off in his giant flying dildo. And we all order everything off Amazon because it comes right to our front door. How convenient, but what a price to pay. And people are afraid. As a result, some people are so afraid they're actually leaving the country. Like, I mean, literally leaving the country. Like this guy. Yeah, just came across this just before we came on tonight.
Well, here we are. It's Friday, and we are just literally minutes away from the border to Canada as we flee the U.S. Who would have thought at age 60 that this would be our day and our plan and our actions? And I know fleeing sounds dramatic and like something from a movie, but it's really true. We just feel so scrutinized and so silenced and so being portrayed as enemies within and being portrayed as domestic terrorists because we're standing up for what we believe in this country and what we believe is being violated and is going into an authoritarian regime, and is in it actually, and has been since he hit the ground running in January, the day he was inaugurated. It's really frightening, and it's really unsettling, and there's just no peace in that the folks that follow him and voted for him are just being barraged with this indoctrination by this cult of personality to believe through just repeated messaging that Democrats are the enemy within, his words, that all Democrats across the board are domestic terrorists, again, his words, that this straw man that they're building with Antifa to give them something to be outraged about, that they feel they need to take up some sort of vigilantism to seek out and seek retribution on their own.
It goes both ways.
It's just whipping up this frenzy of hatred, just like 80 years ago in Germany in the 40s, when the authoritarian regime there and their leader were messaging out the same things about how races within their country were the enemy within, were animals, were rats that needed to be exterminated. Just like this guy said a few weeks ago that Democrats were just a bug on our shoulder that just needs to be squashed and swatted away. there's so many parallels in history that are being seen all over again. And who would have thought here in the 21st century, years, hundreds of years after a civil war, after fighting for freedom in the 1940s and the 1950s to keep authoritarian regimes like this out of our country and off of our soil, that somebody would rise up from within our country with no political experience and whip up this frenzy of ego and power to try to, again, divisively create this enemy that is anti-Christian, because that's a real trigger and that's a real knee-jerk to a lot of his followers, that they're trying to destroy us, and they're trying to destroy our values when you look at it, and they're destroying the values in their actions because of who they are. Anyway, here we are. It finds us crossing over into Canada for a few weeks to get a taste of what freedom and diversity and friendship and everything is like. Again, something that we have lost and forgotten since January, with years to go in this regime. Oh my God, 10 months. It seems like a lifetime. But anyway, we'll go there. We'll check it out for 3 weeks. We'll reevaluate, see what the plan is. If it's longer, if it's extended, if it's semi-permanent, I don't know. But here's where we're at. We'll update you more as we go.
And there's that word freedom. Seems to mean different things to different people. What's the definition? I've asked that question here on the program. I really haven't had people come through, generally speaking, with a real definition for me. Nothing that really was satisfying. What is freedom? I've asked, what is freedom to you? And it means a lot of different things to a lot of people. It's thrown around. Strangely, the Democrats use the word freedom during the Kamala Harris presidential campaign. Freedom. It was on all their signs everywhere at all the rallies. And then you have the whole freedom movement in Canada, which is by extension something that's coming in many respects out of the United States too. But that version of freedom seems to be, for a lot of people there, something totally different. You have freedom fighters, communists, generally speaking, through history, who call themselves freedom fighters. One man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. Well, there's Trump blowing up narco-terrorist boats off the coast of Venezuela. Is that freedom? Is that the pursuit of freedom? Is that how you get freedom? By blowing up suspected drug dealers with F-35s dropping bombs or missiles? That's freedom? Something's twisted. Something's way out of whack, in my view. We're in trouble. Only thing you can do really at this point is make yourself aware, learn from the past, learn from what's going on right now, make yourself aware, and wake the hell up. Stop following blindly and realize that there's a lot of lying going on, not just from the mainstream media, right across the board. But it's CBC, defund the CBC. Yeah, you know what? Maybe start asking some questions about the people who keep saying defund the CBC too. Because if they're saying defund the CBC, do they really believe in free speech? If they want to silence the mainstream media, just shut them up, are they really in favor of free speech? Doesn't quite jive. Level the playing field, sure. But silence those other journalists completely? Something doesn't wash there, especially when I see certain politicians sitting down for interviews with some of those other independent media types. Let's go over to Bernie Sanders. He's just beginning his speech over there at the Zohran Mamdani rally. This is the other side of the equation. Bring up the audio. Here we go.
Whoa! And let me thank the people of New York for sending Alexandria to the U.S. Congress. She is not only one of the great members of Congress, she is inspiring working people and young people all across the country. Thank you, New York. Now, everybody knows that a New York City mayor's race attracts a lot of attention. That's not new. It's the largest city in the country. You got 8 million people. Everybody is interested.
Audio seems a little low.
Here. But this mayor's race, my friends, is different. It is not just the folks here in New York City who are paying attention. It's not just people all across our country who are watching this race. It is not just the President of the United States who seems to be very, very concerned about who wins this election. The truth is that people all over the world are paying attention to what will happen here a week from Tuesday. Now, why is that? Why has this campaign created such an unbelievable amount of interest, literally all over the world? And the answer is obvious. These are not normal times.
True.
This is not a normal election. This election takes place at a moment in American history when we have a rigged economy with more income and wealth inequality than we have ever had in the history of our country. This election takes place at a time when the wealthiest people in America have never, ever had it so good, while 60% of people in our country are living paycheck to paycheck, struggling to pay their rent or mortgage, struggling to afford child care or higher education for their kids, struggling to afford health care, struggling to afford decent quality food, struggling how to figure out how they will retire with some shred of dignity after working their entire lives. This election takes place when the United States of America, the wealthiest country in the history of the world, has one of the highest rates of childhood poverty and senior poverty of almost any nation. And when in this rich country, 800,000 Americans, including many veterans, are homeless. This election takes place at a time when we have a president who has given $1 trillion in tax breaks to the top 1%, has given $900 billion in tax breaks to the largest corporations in our country. And to pay for those tax breaks, he is throwing $15 15 million Americans off the health care they have by slashing Medicaid. And in addition, he is forcing over 20 million Americans to see a doubling in their health care premiums. This election is taking place when we have an administration in Washington which every day is moving us toward an authoritarian society, undermining our Constitution and the rule of law. This election is taking place when we have a corrupt campaign finance system which allows billionaires in both political parties to select the candidates they want and to buy elections. Ordinary Americans get one vote. You get one vote. Meanwhile, billionaires get the opportunity to spend as much as they want to elect the candidates they want. That is the context in which this election is taking place. That is why this election is so enormously important, and that is why Zohran Mamdani must become the next mayor of New York. New York must have a mayor who represents the working families of this city, not the billionaire class. The reason why this campaign has generated so much interest around the world and so much excitement is that people want to know the answer to one very simple question, and that is, in the year 2025, when the people on top have never ever had so much economic and political power, is it possible for ordinary people, for working class people to come together and defeat those oligarchs? You're damn right we can. And let me tell you something else. At a moment when Americans are extremely distressed about where we are as a nation, economically and politically, a victory here in New York will give hope and inspiration to people throughout our country and throughout the world. That is what this election is about. And that is why Donald Trump is paying attention to this election. Ordinary people, working class people, black and white and Latino, Asian, gay and straight, coming together to take on the oligarchy. That is Trump's worst nightmare. And what Trump and his oligarchic friends know, that if New Yorkers come together and elect Zorhan, we can do that from California to Maine. We can defeat the oligarchy. And what the oligarchs fear, what they fear is that people will start understanding that this country belongs to us, not them. And all over the country, when people are inspired, when people are standing up to power, they will ask some very simple questions. Why are we in the United States the only major country not to guarantee health care to all as a human right?
Okay, so we're going to dip out of that because he will no doubt lead into Mamdani. We're going to talk a little bit now about some of the other stuff going on. We'll come back to this. There's a because everything ties together anyway. Over on ABC Weekend Talk Show Circuit, this is an interesting story. Never before published notes from Mike Pence, Trump's former vice president, reveal some shocking statements from Trump, chronicled in a book called Retribution by Jonathan Caro. Talks about it over on ABC today. Let me bring this up. I'll show you. Again, this highlights the divide in the country as we continue to take the political temperature of the USA.
And I took a lot of heat for this one, but I only mean it in the proper way. For those who have been wronged and betrayed, of which there are many people out there that have been wronged and betrayed, I am your retribution.
That was candidate Donald Trump launching his re-election campaign in 2023 with his signature theme. And this week, the brand new book, Retribution, Donald Trump and the Campaign That Changed America, comes out, written by our This Week co-anchor, Jonathan Caro. The book has fascinating new details about Trump's historic political comeback and what he has done since. And we asked John about that makeover of the White House.
The East Wing has been demolished before our eyes. This after paving over of a big section of the Rose Garden, all the changes he's done to the colonnade, to the Oval Office, all the gold in the cabinet room. He is transforming the physical property of the White House complex, but he's also transforming the country. Think about what he has done in terms of the power of the presidency this time around. He has come in, he has used executive orders beyond anybody's wildest imaginations. Congress is largely irrelevant to Trump in the second term, even though it's a Republican Congress.
And your book obviously is titled Retribution. What part does retribution play in his overall approach to being president this time?
Retribution is central to what Trump is doing. And I trace through his rise from leaving the White House, in many ways a pariah, even to leaders in the Republican Party, and how he came back, fending off all those criminal investigations, all the indictments, the trial in New York. He faced a presidential campaign where he was either going to win and become arguably the most powerful president of our lifetime, or he was going to lose and face the very real possibility of going to jail. That experience of facing that down, of sitting in that courtroom in New York, of fending off those indictments in those three other jurisdictions, made him hell-bent on revenge if he was going to get back.
You talk about the investigation. Certainly there was one into January 6th. You got a fascinating document that will go down in history for sure.
Mike Pence's notes, handwritten notes, that he took in the morning of January 6th about his phone call with Donald Trump. Remember, Donald Trump was trying to get him to overturn the presidential election. And he recounts what Trump says in the conversation and what he says in the conversation. And Trump says at one point, according to the notes, I made a big mistake 5 years ago when I chose you as my running mate. And by the way, there's one thing. If you zoom in on the notes, you see what looks like a sad face or an angry face emoji. And that's where he writes that Trump said, you listened to the wrong people. And Pence writes, says back, according to his notes, I listened to my heart and my mind.
John, when you talk about retribution, also, it's not just retribution that you've reported on, that you've seen, that we've all seen. And one thing that sticks in my mind a lot, you talked to Steve Bannon about this and have some new reporting on this, is the meeting between Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio was in the room and others, and President Zelensky from Ukraine. Steve Bannon had a conversation with him just before that meeting.
Yeah, this is fascinating. Of course, one of the most extraordinary meetings we ever saw in the Oval Office between a president and a foreign leader, really any meeting of any kind. What I learned is before that, earlier in the week, Donald Trump was having a meeting with his top national security people. They were going to sign a minerals deal, a natural resources deal, where Ukraine was going to share its natural resources with the United States as payment for helping fend off the Russian invasion. But look, Trump was not happy with Zelensky and not happy with where his national security team was going on this. So he asks his national security advisor to get Steve Bannon on the phone. Bannon, for the next half hour, is basically lecturing Trump's national security team about Zelensky. He calls him that punk. If you sign this agreement with Zelensky, that punk is going to want security guarantees. I don't like it. I don't like it. And, you know, Trump is kind of egging him on and having him say all of this. And then, of course, days later, we saw what happened in the Oval Office with Trump and Zelensky.
I want to talk a little bit more about where Donald Trump goes from here. Where does he go with his retribution now?
Look, Donald Trump is already the most consequential president of my lifetime. He has amassed power by being, first of all, the sole voice of the Republican Party, and there is no real opposition within the party. And he's empowered by an immunity decision by the Supreme Court. He feels that he can do anything, and the focus of his attention in almost everything he does is getting even, getting retribution. So I think there's a lot more to go, but Trump is going to go one by one after the people that he perceives as his enemies.
Can he sustain this for 3+ more years? Can he sustain this sort of energy that he derives from this retribution?
There are many things that are surprising about Donald Trump. I mean, to me, one is just his energy. I mean, the guy almost never sleeps. I recount in the book talking to him on the phone, sometimes before 7 in the morning, sometimes after 10 at night, and I know he's talking to people between those two times. He has this boundless energy for a guy who is in his late 70s that is frankly remarkable, and I don't think he is going to slow down as long as he is physically able to continue. He wants to change things. He wants to make a mark far beyond that whatever he did in his first term.
Our thanks to John Carl.
Wow.
His book, Retribution, is out on Tuesday.
Wow. Unprecedented power. And I guess in those notes, it came out that Trump called Pence a wimp. This is his vice president. Now, you know, you heard John and Carl talk about him, Trump amassing power. Yeah, he's purged his political enemies from all levels of government. He's put his own people in place in all the institutions, getting rid of people in every government office, essentially, including the Republican or the Reagan Library. And then he brings in Musk, Doge. What did I keep saying? Department of Getting Even. Not Department of Government Efficiency, Department of Getting Even. And I keep referencing unitary executive power. One guy. Congress, you just heard him say, reflecting what I've been telling you for months now, Congress largely irrelevant in Trump's second term. This is not Trump 1.0. This is Trump 2.0. This is Trump's retribution. I'm not so sure that it's ours. Definitely his. And yeah, he's changing things. One guy with a Sharpie. I'm glad we don't have anyone in Canada with that kind of power. The Prime Minister does not have that. The Prime Minister gets a vote in the House of Commons. If you don't believe me, you need to learn a little bit more about civics.
Maverick News isn't just a news outlet, it's a community of truth seekers. Your donation at freedomreporters.com fuels our mission to report the stories that mainstream media won't touch. Thank you, Maverick family.
Bernie Sanders still speaking at the Mamdani rally. We'll dip back into it later. I haven't seen anything on this scale from Cuomo, who has turned to rhetoric that is very MAGA-like. This former Democrat governor of New York, the guy who was at odds with Trump in many respects during the pandemic, the guy who put COVID patients into nursing homes, only to have a lot of elderly people die as a result. He's now using rhetoric that focuses on allegations that Mamdani has not revoked his Ugandan citizenship. And then I saw over on, I saw Bill Maher commenting on this. Well, he's got a point, he says, because if I were an American citizen running for office, I would renounce my Ugandan citizenship because that's a country that murders gay people. Well, all right. A little bit of conflation there. I don't know why Mamdani needs to hold on to Ugandan citizenship. If that's even true, maybe he'll address it in tonight's speech in Queens as he seeks the mayoral seat in New York. And he's taking to the stage right now. Let's go live back to the Mamdani rally. We'll continue with this. Here he is, the front runner for the mayor's job, New York City. Some say communist, others say social democrat. And a lot more in common with Trump than I think people realize. Also, a socialist Trump is. He's no Reagan and no conservative. No, he's not.
Good evening, New York City!
Just a different kind of socialism on the Trump side. Totally different kind.
How are we all doing? Habibi, how are you? It is so good to see you all here tonight. Now, as you know, a politician is only as good as the team around them. So I have to ask that team to start up this teleprompter. Because right now, it's off the top of the dome. And while we wait, why don't we actually begin? Can we first hear a round of applause for our incredible MC, Sarah Sherman? Can we hear it for the elected officials, the labor leaders, and the New Yorkers who have joined us this evening? And can we hear it for Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez? Very good. You know, there are many things one can say about our congresswoman, but I want to tell you a story about 2021. When we went on a 15-day hunger strike and won $450 million in debt relief for working-class taxi drivers, the congresswoman was there with us on that picket line. She was there with us on the phone after everyone else had gone home. And she was there with us again in the primary of this election. And that's because she's there for working people. And now we are just getting started. And let's please make some noise for Senator Bernie Sanders. I stand before you tonight only because the senator dared to stand alone for so long. I speak the language of democratic socialism only because he spoke it first. And when I ran for state assembly almost 6 years ago to the day, it was at Bernie's rally in Queensbridge Park where I led our first canvass. Signing people up for our email list, asking them for $5 or $10, and encouraging them to believe that the politics of not me, us applied to our state government just as much as our national one. When we win on November 4th, and then govern from City Hall with dignity as the foundation of our politics, it will be because of the movement that Bernie built. I stand before you tonight as the nominee of a Democratic Party reinvigorated in its pursuit of making government work for everyone, not just the wealthy and the well-connected. Looking out at more than 13,000 of you here in Forest Hill Stadium, it is tempting to believe that this moment was always destined. Yet when we launched this campaign on October 23rd, 1 year and 3 days ago, there was not a single television camera there to cover it. When we launched this campaign 1 year and 3 days ago, my name was a statistical anomaly in every poll. 4 months later, as recently as this February, our support had reached the eye-watering heights of 1%. We were tied with noted candidate, someone else. I always knew we could beat him. When we launched this campaign 1 year and 3 days ago, the political world did not pay it much attention because we were looking to build a movement that reflected the city as it actually is, not just the one that political consultants think exists on a spreadsheet. And when we launched this campaign 1 year and 3 days ago, we were dismissed as a punchline in the halls of power. The idea of fundamentally changing who government serves in this city was unimaginable. Even if we gained momentum, they asked, how would we ever overcome the tens of millions of dollars in attacks that would follow? Yet we knew then what we know now. New York is not for sale. As young people showed up in record numbers, as immigrants saw themselves in the politics of their city, As seniors, once skeptical, dared to dream again. We spoke with one voice. New York is not for sale. And now, as we stand on the precipice of taking this city back from corrupt politicians and the billionaires that fund them, let our words ring out so loud tonight that Andrew Cuomo can hear them in his $8,000 a month apartment. Let them ring so loud so that he can hear us even if he's in Westchester this evening. Let them ring so loud that his puppet master in the White House hears us. New York is not for sale. "13 days after we announced our candidacy, Donald Trump won the presidency once again. The Bronx and Queens saw some of the largest shifts to the right of any counties in our country. No matter what article you read or channel you turned to, the stories seemed to be the same. Our city was headed to the right. Obituaries were written about Democrats' abilities to reach Asian voters, young voters, male voters. Again and again, we were told that if we had any hope of beating the Republican Party, it would only be by becoming the Republican Party. Andrew Cuomo himself said that we had lost not because we had failed to speak to the needs of working-class Americans, but because we had spent too much time talking about bathrooms and sports teams. This was a moment where it seemed our political horizon was narrowing. And in this moment, New York, you had a choice to retreat or to fight. And the choice that we made was to stop listening to those experts and to start listening to you. We went to two of the places that saw the biggest swings to the right, Fordham Road and Hillside Avenue. These New Yorkers were far from the caricature of Trump voters. They told us they supported Donald Trump because they felt disconnected from a Democratic Party that had grown comfortable with mediocrity and gave its time only to those who gave millions. They told us that they felt abandoned by a party beholden to corporations, which asked them for their votes after telling them only what it was against, rather than presenting a vision of what it was for. They told us they didn't believe in a system anymore that did not even pretend to offer solutions to the defining challenge of their lives, the cost of living crisis. Rent was too expensive, so were groceries, so was childcare, so was taking the bus, and working 2 or 3 jobs still wasn't enough. Trump, for all his many flaws, had promised them an agenda that would put more money in their pockets and lower the cost of living. Donald Trump lied. It was up to us to deliver for the working people he left behind. Over the 8 months of the primary, we told New Yorkers how we intended to address that very same affordability crisis. We did not do it alone. This was a movement powered by tens of thousands of everyday New Yorkers who knocked doors between 12-hour shifts at work and phone banked until their fingers were numb. People who had never voted before became die-hard canvassers. Community formed. Our city got to know each other and itself. This, my friends, was your movement. and it always will be. As the snow melted and the frost thawed, this campaign began to grow faster than anyone ever imagined possible. So many small donors chipped in that we had to ask you to stop donating. Please stop. We climbed the polls faster than Andrew Cuomo could dial Donald Trump's number. People started to learn how to pronounce my name. And the billionaires got scared. Or, as the New York Times would describe it, the Hamptons was basically in group therapy about the mayoral race. Andrew Cuomo and his corporate cronies did everything they could to make this campaign one of fear and one of smallness. Hell yeah. Obviously. They pumped millions into this race, artificially lengthened my beard to make me seem menacing, painted our city as a dystopian hellhole, and worked night and day to divide the people of New York. They failed. When I walked the length of Manhattan just a few days before the election, hundreds of New Yorkers marched alongside me. And when we strode into Times Square under a billboard with betting odds that showed Cuomo's chances of winning at nearly 80%, we knew that the so-called experts were set to get it wrong yet again. Andrew Cuomo was supposed to be inevitable. And then on June 24th, we shattered that inevitability. We won by 13%, with the most votes in any citywide primary in New York City history. Some of those New Yorkers had voted for Trump. Many others had never voted before. And when Andrew Cuomo called me to concede at 10:15 that night, he said over the phone that we had created a tremendous force. When you insist on building a coalition with room for every New Yorker, that is exactly what you create, a tremendous force. That force has only grown over these past 4 months. We now have more than 90,000 volunteers. And we have spoken to millions more New Yorkers. We have put forth new plans in these last few months for how we will govern, hiring thousands more teachers for our schools, taking on the consultants and the contracts in city government, and tackling the final boss of New York City infrastructure, scaffolding. But over the past few weeks, as this race has entered its final days, we have witnessed displays of Islamophobia that shock the conscience. Andrew Cuomo, Eric Adams, and Curtis Sliwa do not have an agenda for the future. All they possess is the playbook of the past. They have sought to make this election a referendum not on the affordability crisis that consumes New Yorkers' lives, but on the faith I belong to and the hatred they seek to normalize. We spent months working to convince the world that New Yorkers have a right to afford this city that we all love. Now, we are being forced to defend the idea that a Muslim is even allowed to lead it. These same big money donors and disgraced politicians have sought to rob us of our ambition because they do not think that you deserve the beauty of a dignified life. And time and again, they have encouraged you to imagine less because they know that a reimagined New York hurts their bottom line. I believe that this city is like the universe, constantly expanding. We deserve a city government as ambitious as the working New Yorkers who make it the greatest city in the world. We cannot wait for someone else to deliver it. We are not afforded the luxury of waiting, because too often to wait is to trust those who delivered us to this point. On November 4th, we will set the course of our city back in the direction it belongs. And in doing so, we will answer a question that our nation has wrestled with from the dawn of our founding. Who is allowed to be free? There are some who hear that question and they know the answer without hesitation. They are the oligarchs who have accumulated vast wealth off those who labor from before the light breaks the horizon until long after color has drained from the sky. These are the robber barons of America, and they believe their money affords them a larger say than the rest of us. I am not just talking about the Bill Ackmans and Ken Langones of the world. I speak of people whose names you are not familiar with, who have no qualms about contributing more to super PACs than we would ever tax them, and who celebrate when those PACs flood our airwaves with commercials that plaster the words "global jihad" over my face. Their freedom doesn't just come at the expense of dignity and truth. It comes at the expense of the freedoms of others too. They are the authoritarians who seek to keep us pressed beneath their thumbs because they know that once we shake ourselves loose, we will never be held down again. Each and every one of these people think New York is for sale. For too long, my friends, freedom has belonged only to those who can afford to buy it. The oligarchs of New York are the wealthiest people in the wealthiest city, in the wealthiest nation in the history of the world. They do not want the equation to change. They will do everything they can to prevent their grip from weakening. The truth is as simple as it is non-negotiable. We are all allowed freedom. Each one of us, the working people of this city, the taxi drivers, the line cooks, the nurses, all those seeking lives of grace, not greed, we all get to be free. And on November 4th, thanks to the hard work of more than 90,000 volunteers across every corner of this city, that is exactly what we will tell the world. Because while Donald Trump's billionaire donors think that they have the money to buy this election, we have a movement of the masses. And we are a movement that is not afraid of what we believe. And we've believed it for quite some time. Those who worry about what this movement may look like on January 1st are the ones who worried on October 23rd what it may look like tonight. But our purpose has not changed, and neither have our promises. As I said on the evening I announced, the job of government is to actually make our lives better. And in the exact words I said on October 23rd, here is what we stand for, my friends. We are going to freeze the rent for more than 2 million rent-stabilized tenants and use every resource at our disposal to build housing for everyone who needs it. We are going to eliminate the fare on every single bus line and make what are currently the slowest buses in the nation move around this city with ease. And we are going to create universal childcare at no cost to parents, so New Yorkers can raise their family in the city they love. Together, New York, we're going to freeze the... Together, New York, we're going to make buses fast and... Together, New York, we're going to deliver universal... We will make our city one where every person who calls it home can live a dignified life. No New Yorker should ever be priced out of anything they need to survive. And we believed then, we believe today, we will believe tomorrow that it is government's job to deliver that dignity. Dignity, my friends, is another way of saying freedom. Standing before you this evening, I take great strength from those who have labored mightily for the cause of freedom in America, who refused to accept that government could not meet what moments of crisis demanded from it. When the power of the people overwhelms the influence of the powerful, there is no crisis that government cannot meet. It was government that enacted a New Deal to lift a generation out of poverty, to create beautiful public goods, and establish the right to unionize and collectively bargain. My friends, the era of government that deems an issue too small or a crisis too big must come to an end. Because we need a government that is every bit as ambitious as our adversaries. A government strong enough to refuse the realities we will not accept and forge the future we know we deserve. A government that refuses to accept 1 in 4 New Yorkers living in poverty. That refuses to accept more than 150,000 public school students being homeless. That refuses to accept that 2 union salaries are not enough to put down a mortgage in this city. And a government that refuses to accept you being priced out of the very city you helped to build every single day. Time and again, our nation has teetered on the precipice of hopelessness. Now is one of those times. But in each of these moments, working people have reached into the darkness and reshaped our democracy. No longer will we allow the Republican Party to be the one of ambition. No longer will we have to open a history book to read about Democrats leading with big ideas. My friends, the world is changing. It's not a question of whether that change will come. It's a question of who will change it. We have an opportunity before us that few have ever received and even fewer have seized. It's the opportunity to show the world what it means to win freedom. It is the opportunity to live up to the legacy left by those who came before. We do not get to determine the scale of a crisis. Our choice is how we respond. Let us win a city hall that works for those straining to buy groceries, not those straining to buy our democracy. And let us look forward to January 1st, when the hard work of governing will begin. Those in power would like to describe our policy commitments as if they are illusions that will evaporate as soon as we approach City Hall. Let us show them instead that they are invocations of the future that we will win. And let us prove to each and every New Yorker that a politics of expansion does not just mean imagination. It insists upon fulfillment. We can make City Hall a place where New Yorkers come to expect the future, not just failure. But we are not there yet. Just as Andrew Cuomo's victory in the primary was thought to be inevitable, the same narrative has started to form around us today. When you read the articles that tell a post-election story of triumph while we are amidst early voting, when you see the Kalshi odds that have our chances of victory in the 90s, know this: you are reading the same things that Andrew Cuomo read when he went to sleep each night in June, believing that his victory was promised. We cannot allow complacency to infiltrate this movement. So over these 9 final days, I ask for only one thing from each of you: more. I know you are tired, and for that I recommend some Adani chai. And still, I ask for more. I know the attacks have intensified, that a warm bed is more inviting than a 6th-floor walk-up, that another evening spent knocking doors after a long workday feels daunting. And still, I ask for more. I ask for more because that is the only way that we win a future of more. So if you are able, I urge you, my friends, stand up. If you have knocked a door, turn your flashlight on. If you will knock a door, turn your flashlight on. If you have more to give, turn your flashlight on. Together, let us make a light bright enough to banish any darkness. Over these final 9 days and the months and years that follow, the powers that be will throw everything in their arsenal against us. They will spend millions more dollars. They will attack us from every conceivable angle. But we will not bend. We will not flinch. We will triumph over the oligarchs and we will return dignity to our lives. Nearly 89 years ago to the day, FDR spoke before a crowd of thousands at Madison Square Garden. He said, "I should like to have it said of my first administration that in it, the forces of selfishness and of lust for power met their match. I should like to have it said of my second administration that in it, these forces met their master. My friends, I should like to have it said of our campaign that in it, the forces of selfishness and lust for power met their match. And I should like to have it said of our City Hall that in it, these forces met their master. New York, our work has only just begun. On November 4th, we set ourselves free. Thank you.
Okay, so he's the front runner. And what we just witnessed there is, I think, a reflection of nature. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. You have Trump in the White House, and now you have this happening, this movement getting traction in New York City. Zohran Mamdani, socialist for sure. Some say communist. Whatever he is, he's way out in front. Cuomo looking for some way to catch him, Andrew Cuomo. And I don't know that if you, I don't think he can. I think you're looking at the next mayor of New York City, but still 9 days, so anything can happen. I don't know. What do you guys think? Just looking in the chat there, I see mixed things. Mixed things. We still have more tonight, so stay with me. I'm going to take a quick break. We'll come back on the other side, and we'll continue with tonight's Maverick Newscast.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
We're back. Ukraine Action Summit happening in Washington this weekend, as Vladimir Putin launched some pretty serious attacks against Kyiv. Over 30 people injured. I believe 3 people just last night alone killed, and 7 children injured as well in that attack. There was one the night before, also major. It has been a relentless assault. Also tonight, we are seeing reports from the Russian side, but only the Russian side, suggesting as many as 10,000 Ukrainian troops are encircled. Putin being informed that, well, this is the thing. This is the thing. Mixed numbers, up to 10,000 Ukrainian troops encircled. Putin in this post being informed, it says that as many as 5,000 Ukrainian servicemen encircled in the Kupiansk region, and maybe another 5,000 in the Krasnoyarsk region. I don't know if I pronounced that quite correctly. In any event, looking at up to 10,000 troops. If this is true, the thing is, the only reports I'm seeing on this are coming from the Russian side. I can't find verification at this point from any other place. This is what we're seeing.
Мы также уже успели донести до американских коллег информацию о встрече президента Путина с Генштабом, которая прошла сегодня утром, и где президенту было доложено о том, что 5000 военнослужащих Украины окружены в районе Купянска, 5500
Okay, and you obviously can't understand any of that because it's in Russian. And that was Putin's envoy, Dmitriev. He says Ukrainian forces are trapped in, and also talks about this new nuclear cruise missile that Russia has unveiled. It has, I guess, almost unlimited range, maybe unlimited range. They've been flying this thing. I saw a report saying that the one test flight over 2,500 kilometers it flew, giving it incredible range. That would mean if it's a nuclear powered cruise missile, they could launch those things from inside Russia and strike, I would say, maybe even the United States. That could certainly change things considerably. On the Ukrainian side, of course, still talking about long-range missiles and the ability to strike inside Russia. Tomahawks on the table, off the table. Who knows if they're still on the table? Very hard to know. Trump flip-flops every single day over at the ASEAN summit. And I don't think he's going to meet with Carney because there's all this posturing on the trade talks. And Ukraine becoming more independent in its fight against Russia. Okay. So I'm just queuing some other stuff up here. Here's another report on those 10,000 Ukrainian forces allegedly encircled. But with all of the misinformation that's out there, it's really hard to know what's true. I highlight this, but I caution you, please don't accept this as fact because I have not seen confirmation from any other sources. More than 10,000 Ukrainian forces. This is from Press TV, which is pro-Iranian, pro-Russian. Russian military. Russian troops have encircled more than 10,000 Ukrainian troops in those areas I mentioned. And so I think what we're getting here is a bit of an echo chamber happening. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said the Russian leader met with chief of the general staff and senior military commanders, during which he was briefed on the situation along the line of contact. So it says here the Ukrainian forces are encircled by Russian troops in two directions. True, not true, maybe true. Seems like it could be true. We'll just have to continue to watch it. That being said, we don't know it's true because we're seeing all of this through a screen. Thousands of miles away, yet it's obviously having a direct impact on our lives here. if for no other reason than it's affecting what we see on social media. But it is very much a show for people, for us over here in the West. It's even a show for people in neighboring countries like Poland. I became aware of that in a more meaningful way today with a conversation I had with Irina, who has been on the program before. You may recall she's Ukrainian. She moved to a community very near one of the front lines, her exact location not disclosed for her own safety. Her boyfriend serves with the military, and he has been up there serving Ukraine. Well, we have her joining us here on the program again tonight to remind us that what is going on over there affects real people on both sides in a real way, because it is a real war. It's not some fake thing. It is not just something that is in the cybersphere. It's not just on our screens. It's affecting people and their lives as they try to live and they deal with death. Stay with me. When we come back, we're going to talk to Irina in Ukraine. She's going to give us a better sense of what it's like to live under constant shelling, under the constant threat of an attack, where it's hard to sleep, hard to work, hard to live.
Maverick News. Fighting for freedom.
Irina, thank you again so much for joining us on the program. It's a privilege to have you here. People have actually been asking about you in our audience, our viewers, our Maverick family, concerned about you and your boyfriend, because we all know that where you live, you're in the direct line of fire. So can you first of all just again introduce yourself for new viewers, and then we'll find out what the situation is like in your community.
Hi, thanks for having me here today again. Nice to be here. Thank you so much. My name is Irina. I'm from Ukraine. I live, as you mentioned, like 20-ish kilometers away from the front line. That was my choice. I'm originally from the center of Ukraine, which is 300 kilometers away from the front line. But since my boyfriend is fighting for our country here, I just decided to move to be closer to him. I'm currently not sure. Well, nothing new I can say. I'm currently staying here, and I don't have any intention to move.
So, what is the situation there? We see there have been attacks on Kyiv overnight, and another major attack the night before that. This latest attack, I believe, at least 3 people killed, 32 other people injured, including 7 children. This, I guess, is, you're saying, is a daily thing for you.
Yeah, unfortunately, we see news every day. Something stroke here, missiles attack on there, drone attack every day. It's just it's it's terrible to say, but it's a routine. It's always here. Sometimes you get the news. Sometimes it's spread worldwide, and sometimes just stays within the country. But it's always something.
Yeah. The the sense that I get from media reports is that the battle lines and the front line, where you're close to that, that it's very stagnant. It isn't moving very much. We have something almost of a stalemate. I see reports today that Ukrainian forces have taken back 2 villages, I believe in the Donetsk area. But overall, from day to day, week to week, even month to month now, Russia is not really gaining any new ground, not in a significant way at all. So you say you're about 20 miles away from the front line. Is there concern that things might break through, or are things pretty fortified and stable? What's your sense from where you live?
I need to be really careful and attentive to the news because we don't get to know everything, the second it happens. So when you check the deep state, it's the map, it's like interactive map which shows the forces and the territories which were unfortunately taken. So it shows the situation and it's still not up to date. So I have to be really careful. If you don't see the movement, that's because of the enormous efforts that our army puts into holding those territories. And unfortunately, Russians are really, they have this nasty tactic of shelling, like destroying the territory they want to get. And before they come to the new city, they destroy it just to dust. Uh, for example, Konstantinivka or Pokrovsk, they are not there just yet, but I promise you, it's just a horrific picture. If you Google it, if you say it, it's destroyed. Lots of people get killed, lots of civilians, lots of armed forces, and it's the matter of time, unfortunately, because our tactic is to save as many people and as many lives as possible, and their tactic is to kill as many as possible and to destroy, just as with Mariupol. They destroyed the city, they shelled it to dust, and then they came and said, "Hey, cool, Russian world here." They put 2 new buildings. They let some people live there just to take some pictures, but the rest of the city is still, not okay to live in.
When the full scale invasion began, there was a lot of information warfare going on. The Russian side saying that, these stories of attacking civilian targets, of even taking children, Ukrainian children, uh, kidnapping them, that it was all fake or false or propaganda. And yet I've seen, just even in the last 6 months to a year, an unusual and unexpected ally for Ukraine come forward, and that would be Melania Trump, because she's quietly been talking in the background in a way that it's coming out to the public, but even whispering in Donald Trump's ear that, hey, look, this retirement home was just attacked by Russia. These children were just killed. And as I understand it, she's been working very quietly as well, advocating for the thousands of Ukrainian children who were taken prisoner and are being re-educated by Russia even today. Are you at least in some way encouraged to see that Melania Trump, or that there's somebody talking in Trump's ear telling him, hey, all these Russian talking points that the president seems to be repeating at times, it seems like some of that might finally be getting through to him. What's your view on that?
Well, not sure how, like, I feel like I'm too distant to Melania and Donald Trump. I don't feel like they have any impact on us at all, because all of that saying is just words, and it doesn't feel like much at all. So whether they are speaking about that, that's great, because that's, it's what we live with. It's true. Like 20,000 children from the same Mariupol were like kidnapped and sent to Russia, and they are trying to raise the Russian people out of them. It's, I guess, good that they are speaking about those children, because speaking is already acknowledging. But does it change anything to us? Does it change anything for those children who may, like, in a year or so, they may not remember who they are, who their parents were, and they may not recognize, like, who they became.
It's a very twisted and sick situation, because I'm even seeing reports today. There's an investigation that has been reported about Russia now taking Ukrainian children and training them to fight against Ukraine. So there's an in-depth report about that I'm going to be digging into a little bit more. But
No
at least,
surprise.
yeah. I mean, it's so much time has gone on since Russia first came into Crimea and some of these other areas, that now these children, they're beginning to grow it up to an age where they're now being recruited and pushed into military service. So now you have Ukrainians fighting against Ukrainians, re-educated Ukrainians fighting against Ukrainians. It's a strange, and I think it's just another sick symptom of war in general. But that being said, talking about Trump, he's so unpredictable. He's back and forth. One day he seems to say things like Ukraine can take back all its territory. The next day he's not on side. He's repeating Russian talking points. How is that affecting morale with people in your community, the people you talk to? Do people even care what Donald Trump says anymore?
No. No matter what he says, because we are already used to, seeing him yada yada yada. I'm going to stop this war. I'm going to deal with everything. Just no worries. We will stop this war, and nothing happens. At first, when he first stepped in, we were like, oh, okay, something is going on. Okay, that's interesting. Maybe we had some hope. And after our president came to White House, it was just, oh my god. And now it's okay, let him speak. Who cares? No matter what they discuss with Putin, with anybody else, we will not stop fighting. That's the case. And no matter if US is going to support us or not, we are going to fight, and we are going to win, because we have no choice. And it's just about the time, how fast it happens, and that's it, I guess. The time, because if we have more weapons, we have more aid, we could do this faster. And the more pressure everybody puts on Russia, the more effective we can be. So who cares?
And we are seeing now Ukraine not just defending Ukrainian territory, which seems to be, the front lines seem to be fairly stable. Russia not really gaining any ground, but now Ukraine attacking oil refineries and energy infrastructure. That seems to be having a major impact on the Russian economy. Is this also the sense of people there? Is Ukraine just kind of pivoting or shifting its focus more away from depending on the United States and just doing what it needs to do, looking more to Europe and even producing its own drones internally within the country?
Well, I wish you could see how much impact it has on our morale when we see when something. That's just another way of getting the satisfaction for us when we see that something that could kill us gets destroyed, and we are like, okay, that's good. I cannot say about the whole country. Luckily or unluckily, I'm not aware of any, military top secret information. But from what I think, we're just doing what we need to do because, as I already mentioned, it's whether we or uh, us. So I mean that whether we do this step, whether we destroy that oil factory or that, I don't know, military factory or something, or it produces something that potentially could kill us. So I think we feel more power, more possibilities, because previously we weren't allowed to use weapons that was sent to us from Europe, from US. We weren't allowed to use it against Russian territories. We could only use it to defend ourselves, and then we felt a bit more, Europe freed our hands to do something extraordinary, and not within Ukraine, but also we could strike Russian territories. And this is what needs to be done to escalate and to make things faster, and hopefully to gain the victory faster.
So you just recently took a trip or a couple of trips into some European countries. Why did you do that? And I'd like to learn more about what happened.
Oh, well, I felt a bit uh, burnt out, if I can say so. Living near to frontline is nerve-wracking, and sleep deprivation and depression and just being constantly scared is really tiring. So I thought it would be a good idea to take a break and see my friends and experience. It was the first time that I experienced life without war for the whole period of time, for the whole, I would say, full scale invasion. So it was something that I was excited about, but honestly, I would not recommend that. I just felt so out of context, especially in Poland. For some reason, Polish people don't like us. As I experienced, I'm not sure why. Maybe because there are lots of Ukrainians in Poland and they are a bit biased about us. In Germany, uh, um, I experienced a panic attack while I was on a festival because for some reason they thought it was gonna be a good idea to set fireworks at the end of the festival. So it's just, being out of context. Uh, I felt like I'm the insane one. I experienced the war. I lived through the war, and like everybody's in a happy country. Everything is great. They are living their best lives, and it was painful even. I know that it's only about myself. It's only about my experience, and they I'm not allowed to blame them because I wouldn't wish anybody in the whole world to experience the same thing that I'm experiencing now, except for Russia. Those guys deserve it. So yeah, that's a bit controversial. the controversial feeling of screaming in front of 1,000 people who cannot hear you. This is the feeling of being in Europe, because everybody's living their best lives, and there's a feeling that nobody really cares. And I do know that it's not true, and many people care, but still having this sad feeling.
So it's like they're living a life of denial that it's not really happening, that where they're just, it's like not real to them, I guess is maybe the better way of describing it, right? Because it's just something they're seeing on a screen, on a computer screen or a television screen. So they're watching a movie, but it isn't real to them. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's the best description I could
Yeah.
say, right?
It's interesting you talk about that, because I've noticed here in Canada, where I live, uh, things have shifted here. There was a lot of attention, of course, the beginning of the full scale invasion, and our country became very divided in people who want to support Ukraine, and there's a segment that is very against involvement in any foreign wars at all. Uh, but in the past 6 months or so, I'd say that the public's attention, because they're also seeing it just through a screen, the attention is shifting. It's shifting away. They're not paying as much attention, but I'm seeing that the people who are against any war in Ukraine, that's softening, because I think the information war and the way that it's affecting them is becoming less effective. So I don't know. It's just, I think there's less opposition, if I can put it that way, to helping Ukraine here on the Canadian side. Very hard to gauge, because I've only had my own perspective, but it's interesting for you to talk about that uh, from your experience going to these European countries and what's happening here as well. It's just a question of, I guess, longevity and how much aid there will be for Ukraine, and whether you guys will have the support that you need to carry on. Um, so as you continued this trip, you say that you experienced a panic attack because you went to this. You said it was like a kite festival. You told me before we began, and then they had fireworks at the end, and it was the fireworks that triggered your panic attack. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah. It's just the loud noises. I can't stand any loud and unexpected noises. I get just, unconsciously, my body like makes the reaction before I realize what happened, what's going on. And yeah, it was. I was crying. Everybody was so happy, and the fireworks were like, it was a music show with fireworks. It was amazing. Now I'm looking at the videos, and it's pretty, but it doesn't worth it. It just, the flashbacks, and my friends were trying to calm me down for quite a few minutes, and uh, not the best experience, honestly. I'm not a fan of fireworks anymore.
So you're really suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder,
I
which
would
is,
say so.
mhm, yeah.
Um, you were talking about the fact that people got used to the news, and everything just, um, the volume of news went down for your people. I just
Mhm.
wanted to um, say that it's a psychological thing to when you get overwhelmed with negative news, when two people killed, five people killed, the whole entire building was destroyed, 100 people killed. You get used to that, because you you are not able to bear all that grief and pain. And imagine that for us, it's every day. Like I said, two people 10 people, it's only civilians. Imagine how many armed forces get injured and killed every day. We don't count that. We don't know the numbers, but we know that that's thousands, millions. We don't know. And that's not easy to say, but for me, if I say the news, 3 people killed, I don't feel nothing, because during like 3 years, almost 4 years, right? You get so much overwhelmed with the news that even when the whole building and destroyed and 100 people killed, I bet I wouldn't feel nothing because of the overwhelming grief in me, and I feel like I will cry only when everything is ended, when we declare our victory, and only then I think I will be able to process all of that, because in order to stay sane, you need some mechanisms to cope with that. So when you see the news of something happened, like a missile attack in Kyiv, 3 people killed, and it's the news for you. I didn't know that because I don't keep track of that, because I know it happens every day, and I'm not able to, to deal with that mentally and emotionally. It's just like, the white noise. So give it a think. Speaking to your viewers, give it a think. When you think that it's too much and the news are too noisy, too loud, you are not interested in those. Just think about the fact that it's like 10% of the whole amount of missile attacks and drone strikes. It's like 10% that you get to know about. Multiply that by 10, and that it's the the more or less objective situation in Ukraine, and just think about that.
Yeah, and every time Donald Trump talks about peace or invites Vladimir Putin to Alaska, the reality is Russia doesn't stop. They just keep on pushing, as we've seen, and we're even seeing sort of exploratory or test flights violating the airspace of other countries like Poland with fighter jets, drones, to sort of test defenses and see what response there might be from NATO. So I guess that should be a warning sign as well to other European countries, and even to countries here in North America, Canada.
These guys are not playing a fair game, if I could say. I've heard that there are some war, how do you call it? Not rules, but
war crimes.
Could you help me? Not the crimes, the rules, like the rules
of engagement
for the war. Sorry, I just lost my word. Let me. Laws.
Okay.
Laws of conducting the war. I've heard that was a thing, and I bet they don't care about those laws. And those guys are killing civilians, raping our women, kidnapping our children, stealing washing machines from the houses they invite from the people they just killed. If we don't stop them, they won't just stop with Ukraine. I want everybody to remember that Poland is next, and it's not a secret for anybody. They are speaking about that openly. Okay, Poland, wait for us. As soon as we are finished with Ukrainians, you are the next. And I'm not sure what's going to stop them, if there's anything at all. But remember that they are not going to stop. If their sick guy named Putin wants something, he just goes for it, no matter how, no matter how many people get killed. And if we don't stop them, he won't stop.
Tell me what your life is like. Just take me through a day, so that people can understand what it's like to live where you're at.
Well, if I'm lucky enough, I get to sleep well. If I'm not, I need to be really attentive to the air raid alerts, especially for the drone alerts, because we get drone alerts every day, in the evening, in the morning, basically all day round. We need to be careful. If we hear any suspicious noises, we need to go to the safe place. The safe place is the room where there are two walls between you and the outside. So at least two walls. Because if something strikes into the building that I'm currently in, there's a chance the second wall I'm behind will save me from the impact. I need to be attentive. Also, I'm working from home, so I need to be extra about my electricity supplies. I have internet. Like, I have two Wi-Fi routers. The second one works without electricity. If I power it with a power bank, it will work without electricity, and that's the high-tech technologies. I'm not sure if it's a thing for everybody in Europe, because I think at this point every household has this technology. I have my, not sure how it's called, but the big power bank for my laptop, and I need to make sure that everything works, because you never know when Russia strikes some infrastructure, and electricity shuts down for like 12 hours. And in that case, if you don't have gas-powered stove or something, you don't get to eat, and your house is not doesn't get the warmth. So, like, the warmers don't work. If I'm
Your
sorry
furnace,
for
or
my
your furnace, or your heaters to heat your home.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we have portable stove that works with a gas pump, and we have many flashlights in the household, and that's what you have to be prepared, because the winter is coming and Russians like to strike our electric infrastructures in winter, because no heat, no electricity, people sit in the dark, and they think that it could affect our morale, and we will just okay, we're done, that's fine. But not the case. We are really smart and clever about our household decisions. We even have the whole thing, like the preparation for blackouts, in at my workplace, at least. Like, we have all the list of our workers, so we know exactly if they have any supplies, if they have any the possibility to work without the electricity. And if they don't have anything, the company provides it. So to make sure that even in the blackouts, our company workers can work no matter what. And yeah, so basically, you need to make sure that you're safe physically and to make sure that you're ready for any blackouts that may appear. We also have this arranged electricity cuts to save some power, but here where I live, they don't do that. It's near the front line, and if we don't have electricity, that's for like 12 hours straight.
So you've been through some winters. How serious does it get when the power goes out? Uh, there must be real danger there at times that elderly people or other people in your communities might even freeze to death.
We care for each other, so we have, some designated spots where there's warm food, there's phone chargers, Wi-Fi, like Starlinks and stuff. These are called punkt nezlamnosti. So basically, like a tent, maybe, where people can go in and have some warm tea and give someone a call if their phone is dead. So we have some ways to support each other because that's how we survive. Basically, we need to support each other, and we need to stay close together.
And in the town, does it function on in a fairly normal way with people just going to work every day and then coming home and trying to live a normal life and have jobs and so on? Or how is that from day to day for your town?
Lots of militarians, like military people, are having rest here, if I can say so. So they go to the places that they serve, and when they return, they usually return here. So this town, like many towns in Donetsk region, they were built near the factory or something, and this town feels like it's built near the uh, armed forces because everything works for the army. We have stores here. We have like everything that you need to live, and it works. I would say that almost exclusively for military.
So all the things that are there, your garages for car repairs, that's become sort of a facility to keep all the military people there functioning and able to work and sending those resources forward to the front lines, I guess, is what you're saying. The restaurants to
Yeah.
feed the people then go back to the front lines, so they kind of come back, get what they need, reconstitute, and then go back up to the front line. Is that sort of the way it's working for you in your
Yeah,
town?
yeah, yeah. It feels like it because not a lot of civilians are staying here. It's not safe to stay here. It hasn't been safe for the last year or so, and it's good thing that lots of civilians gone to different cities, but those who stay, they work for military people. That's the concentration of military people is like 5 to 1, like to civilians, I would say.
So your boyfriend, you say that he's fighting. He goes to the front lines, does he, or what's his role? And do you get to see him daily, or what's that working like for you?
I can't be specific with the details, but he has the job that doesn't require him to go to the front line, luckily, because once he has been there and he got injured, and that was the whole story of, like, it got 1.5 years for him to recover from that injury, and now he's able not to go to the front line again. So he's still serving and he's doing his job here. And luckily, I'm a really lucky girlfriend because I get to see my military men really, really often.
Well, I'm glad for you for that, but you're both making pretty severe sacrifices, even being there, living in those conditions. And as I'm going through material here, media reports today, I see a report suggesting that what as much as there's been a lot of talk about these Tomahawk missiles that Trump first puts on the table, then takes off the table. I'm seeing reports saying that what's really needed there is the essentials, the basics to keep the the uh, the military supported at the front line, the Ukrainian military, because Russia is even just attacking like every car, not being selective, to just bought like hitting every car
Yeah.
with drones, and they need more cars. Can you kind of speak to that for me?
Um, Cars, drones, something, the smaller things. It's just we are used that these are one-time thing. You can use the car one time to go to the front line and back, and it doesn't work. And we are ready for that. We know that that's the thing, and we need to always donate for army in order to buy new cars, because that's a thing that like a nail file in the manicure. It's just one time thing. You use it and you throw it away. The same thing with drones. It's just it can cost a few $1,000s, and it could be used only once and then destroyed. And we are ready to donate to buy new stuff. And that's something that is always needed, constantly. In Ukraine, we have this culture of donation. If you are a good man, and you got your salary, you need to donate for the car for your friend. You need to donate for the drone for your family member. You need to repost some of your friends' donation, like information. It's a thing. We know that the um, like Trump or European countries, they are helping. Maybe not sure about the Trump thing, but Europe is helping, and we are grateful, but we know that it's not enough. So we just usual Ukrainians, civilians, we know that we need to support that. It's not the war that, oh, it's okay, it's far away. It's the war that in our home, and we need to support that. So every day, like 5 hryvnia, or 10 or 1,000, no matter, we have this saying that there's no such a thing like a small donation. Like each donation is important. So we have this culture where we go and finance our friends, because almost everybody's friend, family, someone they know is serving. So usually we support our relatives, friends, and family, those who serve for us. So that's the folk thing, to gather some money and to throw into the drone that get destroyed first time it gets to work, and then we gather some money again, and the circle is repeated.
Yeah, because the war is not just on a screen for you, it is very, very real. And the donations, I'm sure, are vital, because that's really what Russia has focused on through its information warfare campaign over here, is to undermine support for the war, because if they can undermine support, people stop donating, convince even governments to stop supporting what's happening over there. that is, I think, what a lot of their strategy has been from the beginning to try to win this thing. So, what would you like to say to, again, Canadians and U.S. Viewers who also watch this program in terms of like how how do you view their donations? I guess it's an opportunity for you to say thank you, I suppose.
Yeah, I just thought about this. First of all, if you are watching this and you watched till this moment, then you are interested in the situation, and I'm really grateful for your support and for your interest in our struggle. Um, I hope that this doesn't get you too sad. We are fighting. Everything is great. We are still standing, and we will keep standing for us, because if not us, then who? Um, do what you can do. Support. Um, no matter how, if you have this wish to support us, please do. We are really grateful. I know there are a lot of Ukrainians in Canada, and Canada gives shelter for a lot of our um, fellow Ukrainians. Please support them as well if you know somebody from Ukraine. My greetings. Um, we are standing. We are strong, and no matter what, wait for us until we say that everything is great and the victory is ours.
Before we sign off, one of the things people here keep asking about because of our previous interviews is the cats.
They are great. I think you could hear them in the beginning of our interview. One of them was desperately asking for attention. They are doing amazing. When I visited, well, I had a tour for around 2 months. I haven't been to this place, and actually, I just returned yesterday. So for the whole 2 months, they were staying at my mom's house. So they were very loved, very carefully fed, and yeah, they were safe. And now they are happily returned to their natural habitat of our Donetsk region home.
Well, you keep taking in these unfortunate cats that are also affected by this horrific conflict, and a lot of people here are very supportive of that, and they and inspired by what you're doing to save these cats. So I think on behalf of all the Maverick family here, thank you for your efforts saving the orphaned cats of Ukraine. Irina, is there anything else you'd like to add tonight, or think that we might be missing before we sign off?
I just wanted to add, to finish it on a good side. I always have a pouch of cat food with me, so anytime I see a stray cat, I always feed them. So you can be sure that any stray cats are fed as long as Yarina is in town.
Okay. Thank you again so much for joining us here on the program tonight. Vladimir Putin's full-scale invasion that was supposed to take just a matter of weeks has turned into a struggle that has now spanned nearly 4 years, showing how resilient Ukraine is and how you're determined to protect your sovereignty and preserve your home. Irina, you've reshaped my view in large part on what this war is about, and and I thank you for sharing this perspective and making this war very real, not just something that people are seeing on a screen, but making this very real for people because it is a very real thing. Thank you
Thank you
very
so much
much.
for this opportunity.
We'll be right back, folks. Stay with me.
Maverick News isn't just a news outlet, it's a community of truth seekers. Your donation at freedomreporters.com fuels our mission to report the stories that mainstream media won't touch. Thank you, Maverick family.
And I just want to say thank you to all of you who are still watching tonight. Those interviews, those conversations with Irina, I think are really important because they do show us that what's happening in Ukraine, in Gaza, even in Venezuela, all of these things are very, very real. They affect real people. They affect people who are just trying to live their lives. And it's all being disrupted by war, conflict. It's strange how we continue to deal with these things, even as we have a president who says he is the president of peace. Let's pray for peace. And thank you again, just for listening. I know that it means a lot to Irina. It means a lot to me because it shows that you guys are mavericks, that you think for yourselves and you're open to all the information. That's all. That's all. I'll be back tomorrow. 7 p.m. Eastern. What do you want to hear tonight? Oh, we should play. I know. Yeah, for all those people who think they've got the New World Order figured out, well, some people continue to build walls all these years after the fall of the Berlin Wall. New walls, both real and metaphorical, going back up as we revisit old blood feuds, reopen old wounds, fight old wars all over again. Pray for peace. 7 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. See you then on the flip side.
We watched the old wall crumble, we heard the freedom's call, but now it's rising higher under Putin's shadowed thrall. From Ukraine's fields to Moscow's streets, a cold divide begins to creep. A world of fear where truth is bent, promises are sold too cheap. All in all, it's just another brick in the wall. All in all, we're calling Putin's fall. We don't need their blind instruction, we've seen the lies unfold. All in all, it's just another brick in the wall. He speaks of glory of days long past, where all would kneel before his cast. With tanks and threats he stakes his claim, while silencing those who dare to blame. Propaganda clouds the mind, we don't need no education, blind to the bloodshed and the strife, where Putin's dreams cut deep like knives. Can't you hear the children cry? Can't you see the tanks roll by? In Putin's world where truth is broken, we're just pawns in the lies unspoken. A wall of fear, a wall of light, where freedom fades into the night. We stand upon the edge once more as Cold War ghosts return to life. They tell us not to question, to walk in shadowed lines, but we've seen the fall, we felt the cold, we know the weight of all their crimes. Ukraine's cries, a world denied, a broken bridge that's left behind. In Putin's quest for power's throne, they're building walls we can't condone. All in all, it's just another brick in the wall. All in all, we're trapped within his flow. We don't need their false direction, we see through the stories they've sold. All in all, it's just another brick in the wall. So if we rise, if we resist, we break the walls they built like fists. For in our hearts where hope is strong, there's strength to fight against the wrong. But if we fall, if we concede, remember what the future needs. All in all, it's just another brick in the wall. So if we rise, if we resist, we break the walls they've built like fists. For in our hearts where hope is strong, there's strength to fight against the wrong. But if we fall, if we concede, remember what the future needs. All in all, it's just another brick in the wall.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.